More than 40 boats making up the international aid flotilla now approaching Gaza. The Israeli military has previously raided vessels bound for the Strip. Activists in the fleet are aiming to break Israel's siege on Gaza. Israel says its naval forces are on standby to intercept and seize the vessels. Noor O'Day is in Jordan's capital, Amman. Now, she's there because the Israeli government's banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and in the occupied West Bank. So, Noor, we're getting reports that apparently there are vessels that are approaching the flotilla as it's now in what's known as this high-risk zone. Are you hearing anything from your side, given the fact that we know this is an area where Israeli boats have approached previous flotillas?
Well, we're monitoring very closely, Rob, if there are any new lines from the Israeli media or the Israeli army, for that matter. But so far, nothing. And let's just remind our viewers that this is partly because there is a Yom Kippur, a Jewish holiday, where all of this activity, where even media coverage is stopped. So it's a bit opportune for these developments to be happening in a sort of a media blackout in Israel. Of course, we know that the Israeli army, the Israeli Minister of Defense, have accused the flotilla of being Hamas. They've launched a public relations campaign, really, to accuse all those involved from all those nationalities of being Hamas sympathizers, of refusing their offer to take in the humanitarian assistance that is carried, and Israel insisting that the blockade it is imposing on Gaza is a legal, lawful blockade. Of course, we know that the International Court of Justice has rejected that on several occasions and has ordered Israel to lift that siege on Gaza, to stop weaponizing food and humanitarian assistance, which is exactly the point that those participating in the flotilla are trying to do, to break that siege, to allow at least that symbolic gesture of humanitarian assistance to enter without Israeli control or objection, the kind of control that even extends to, peanut butter cookies or paste that is given to severely malnourished children who are now facing death by starvation, as we've been hearing from the United Nations over the past week or so.
Noor, I'm just looking at some of the lines we're getting in. I understand there's a report ostensibly from the captain of the Alma ship. This is the ship that lost communication just recently within the Steadfastness fleet. He's saying 4 sea mines are within close range of the fleet. Now, that's the only information we've got on that, so we're obviously trying to check out other sources. The ship Alma warns the rest of the Steadfastness fleet ships of the presence of 4 sea mines near its path. This is not the first time there has been an attempt to get a flotilla towards Gaza. Israel has taken action in the past. Just remind us of the kind of action that Israel has taken when these boats have made their way towards Gaza.
Well, the first such violent incident, if you will, happened with the Avi Marmara almost 20 years ago, and actually several people were killed in that Israeli assault on that flotilla. And in the past year, there have been several attempts by several flotillas from solidarity activists to enter the territorial waters of Gaza, not of Israel. They were intercepted by the Israeli army. All those on board the ships were detained, including, for example, prominent activists like Greta Thunberg of Sweden, who was detained. Many of the activists were made to sign unprecedented forms of expulsion from Israel for up to 99 years, basically a lifetime ban on entry to Israel. Again, even though none of these activists were trying to enter Israel, what they were trying to do is enter Gaza, which is not part of Israel. In fact, it is recognized to be under Israeli occupation, but certainly not part of that country's sovereign territory. So there have been several, at least 2 incidents in the past, in less than a year, where the Israeli army took control of the ship, brought it to Ashdod, detained the crew, and it took several days in some instances for the lawyers to be able to secure the release of the activists aboard those ships and get them back home. They reported being treated quite badly, being separated from one another, denied access to the outside world, and made to watch, in some instances, videos of the October 7 attacks. Certainly, it was material for domestic consumption because the Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, regarded these flotilla attempts as an assault on Israel and wanted to give them the treatment of Palestinian prisoners, which we know from repeated international reports are subjected to torture, to mistreatment, and to even starvation. They didn't endure those conditions, but certainly their experience, was neither present nor short-lived.
Yeah, no, thank you very much indeed, Norode there in Amman. I just have a brief update for you from the Steadfastness fleet, which is one of the flotillas that is heading towards Gaza at the moment. The flotilla organizers of the Steadfastness flotilla say, quote, "We have declared a state of emergency. We expect the Israeli Navy to intercept the flotilla's ships within the hour." This is clearly a breaking story. We're going to give you more details on it as we get them.
All right, we're starting out the hike today with a turtle. Check him out. He's moving right along. There he goes, heading down into the weeds. You know, one time I just happened to be hiking way out in the forest and I found one of these turtles upside down. I don't know if they can flip themselves back over, but I had to flip them over. All right, that was good to start the video with.
אני ממש רעבה, אז הזמנתי לי המבורגר, ואז נזכרתי שיש בעזה המון אנשים וחיות מחמוד שאין להם מה לאכול. ופתאום הרגשתי מה זה לא נעים. וואו, זהו עבר. איזה טעים. בורגר הזהב, בעלי זהב, תקשיבו, כזה בדוק אין בעזה. אבל אני מצאתי בשבילם פתרון, ואני מאמינה להם שהם באמת רעבים. כי הרי הם לא מפסיקים לאכול לנו את הראש. בקיצור, מה שהם צריכים לעשות זה שכל החפים מפשע יאכלו את אלה שלו. בתאבון.
There he is, the boss dog, in all his glory. We got him out for a good hike. Let's get in to watching the world burn, watching the world burn. October 2nd, 2025. Let's get into it. And I got one hell of a video for you today. A lot of research, a lot of work, a lot of good information. So I always try to help you up front. We're going to be talking about the Middle East. That's going to be the theme of the video. I got a lot of numbers, a lot of facts, and a lot of things to talk about. The first thing I want to do though is help you out. I just shipped a laptop to get it worked on at UPS. It was $50 and the value of the laptop was only $500. So I'm telling you, I think you should go to the post office and not UPS, because they've changed. Used to be UPS was very competitive with the post office, but I don't think that's the case anymore. So once I'm there, I went ahead and just shipped it. I'm not going to go drive to a post office to save, well, probably could have saved about 20 bucks, so maybe it would have been worth it, but what's your time worth, you know? Sometimes you get to the post office and there's a long line. So we're gonna hit on the video studio because I wanted to get some things out of the way for you to think about. Well, first off, let's hit the silver, gold, and platinum prices. Silver, last I checked, was $47.22. I think it's above that now, so I think we're gonna hit $48 on silver. Gold went over $3,900 at one point, and then it pulled back a bit. I think the last I checked, it's $830. But the one that nobody's talking about is platinum. Platinum is at $1,630. Now platinum, not too long ago, was below 1,000. So, because I was going to buy some, I just couldn't afford it. You know, it's hovering around between 900 and 1,000. And I said, well, maybe I should pull the trigger on some platinum. But instead, you know, I just picked up silver. I haven't bought anything for a long time. I've been getting a lot of big bills, especially with this video studio. So we're going to talk about that just a minute here. And the reason that I pulled the trigger on these devices was because I'm worried about the devaluation of the dollar. You understand, I'm not making money on these precious metals. All I'm doing is holding the value of my assets in something that doesn't lose value. So as gold goes higher, down goes the dollar. So you see the inverse relationship between the two. But let's get into the video studio. I went ahead and pulled the trigger on the Insta360 Link 2 tripod bundle. The PTZ 4K webcam for PC. Now, why did I do that? Well, first off, I got to have a webcam for the video studio. You know, if I'm going to show you the desktop or do anything there. I have an old webcam, but man, the video quality is so bad. I was like, I can't make a video with this webcam. So now they are going to be coming out with a new Insta360 because right now they make kind of like a GoPro. I don't know what they call it. And the camera is much more advanced. So if you can hold off and buy the next webcam, they said it'll probably be out January, but it could be as early as November. So definitely look at the Insta360. That's the best one that I could find. So the other thing I pulled the trigger on, and this mic came out January of 2025. For whatever reason, everybody was recommending the Shure MV, I think M something. And it could only handle, one mic, so it's great for a solo podcast. Well, the Shure MV7 is basically the same mic, except you can hook up two people. So if I ever am out and about with that mic, I can conduct an interview with just using the mic. And it's a very, me, I need simple. I'm not going to buy the whole video mixer and all that stuff. You can get into huge amounts of money for your sound quality on a podcast. But the mic, now if you notice, I always do what I see others do. Okay, if you watch Redacted, they use a Shure mic. Now I'm not sure it's the same. It's probably not the MV7 probably a much better mic than what that is, even though it wasn't cheap, because I got it with the deluxe articulating boom arm, and it was damn near $500 for the mic and the boom arm. So, and then of course the Insta360, that was between, I want to say between $200 and $300. So you can see I'm blowing through my budget for this damn video studio. The other thing that I went ahead and bought, because I hadn't seen these before. I wanted to hit on one more thing. So you see this mic around my neck. The reason that I went with this mic instead of the DJ, which you see on most people on YouTube, was because of Alex, and I can't remember his last name. He's on the Duran. If you ever watch the show, the Duran. And Alex uses this mic, and his sound quality is just fine. So that's why I went with this mic, and it's a lot cheaper. The DJ mics were, I think it was like $500, and this mic was between $100 and $200, and I think the sound quality is pretty good, don't you? So, but the other thing that I found, and I don't know why people are buying USB drives without this feature, but I got the Gen 1 Type-C jump drive with USB-C connection. So you can connect it up to just a regular USB port or a USB-C, so you could actually put it on your phone and copy your pictures or your videos off of the phone into the USB drive. And it's 128 gigabytes, so that's pretty reasonable size. And I was looking at some of the other USB drives. This thing was actually cheap. And by the way, it's also made out of, I think either aluminum or steel. It looked sturdy as hell. At least that's what the advertisement says. This thing can take a beating. Whereas a lot of the USB drives, I don't know about you, but I've bumped them into my leg and broken them right off because they're pretty damn fragile. So I like the fact that I could get a USB drive that was pretty good. Okay, so we got, let's get into the video. We got the, well, you saw the video up front where they were talking about the flotilla. So let's talk about the flotilla for just a minute. Okay, it's they're not going to make it to Gaza. The Israelis are not going to allow it. And anyway, but the thought process was good because, you know, we got to starve the Palestinians. So, we're going to get on that in just a minute. Because, so the flotilla, even though the thing that bugs me, the last I heard was the flotilla was being escorted by an Italian and a Spanish warship. I don't know what warships they sent, and there was a third warship, I thought, that was escorting the flotilla. So I don't know if they would go toe-to-toe with the Israelis to protect that flotilla and try to get it to Gaza. Anyway, but I wouldn't want to be in Gaza right now. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute, because I was watching Colonel McGregor just before I came out, and he was talking about, now I don't know where he got this number, because the numbers I could find, and we're going to go over them, was he said there's 600,000 dead in Palestinians right now, and that we are providing, what did he call them? Oh, damn it. Bombs. I can't, as soon as I get the name of it, I had it in my head, but they're like glide bombs, you know, because he said our stock of missiles is getting low. And so not only will they be used against Iran, they'll also be used to exterminate the rest of the Palestinians, in McGregor's opinion. Because I think Trump, you know, if you didn't know, Trump and Netanyahu just met. And from what I've kind of garnered out of that meeting, was Trump told Netanyahu to get it over with. You know, finish killing off all the Palestinians so that, you know, we can start rebuilding Gaza. So that's, and Trump, like I said, Colonel McGregor's number was 600,000. I don't know where he got that number from. So let's watch another video. This is a video of people walking out on Netanyahu at the UN. Let's kick at that.
Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall, and please be seated. Please, order in the hall.
So you can see Netanyahu is not real popular, well, except in Washington, D.C. I think that Netanyahu rules Trump and rules the Trump administration. So and of course, and rules Congress. Hey, you know, speaking about that, I wanted to talk about censorship for just a minute, because more than likely this video will get censored. Because anytime you talk about Palestine, it's considered anti-Semitic. So whatever. People have been complaining on X, now that Larry Ellison, Oracle, has taken over TikTok, that anything that's said about the Middle East or the Palestinians, they're taking down all those posts. So the censorship for Israel is pretty intense on TikTok right now. So you gotta, if you're on TikTok, you gotta stay away from anything dealing with the Middle East or Palestine if you want to be able to post on TikTok. And the way one person put it, he says, well, the pedophiles are still on TikTok. The transgenders are still on TikTok. You just can't say anything about Israel. So TikTok's still a somewhat free platform if you want to do this. I'm going to read you this Megatron. So Netanyahu was visibly shaken as the majority of the UN delegates storm out of the General Assembly Hall. He was also booed. The UN speaker has to calm down the situation. Please order in the hall. Netanyahu began to boast about the murders Israel carried out, such as the killing of the Iranian nuclear scientist, which, you know, I was kind of against that. So these are the numbers that I was able to find using Grok on Palestinians being killed. So the Palestinians' deaths since October 7th, 2023, as of September 28th, 2025, Gaza's health ministry reports that 66,005 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since the start of the Israeli-Hamas war on October 7th, 2023. This figure includes both civilians and combatants, with the ministry noting an additional 168,162 wounded. The Gaza Health Ministry's data is widely regarded as reliable by international organizations like the United Nations, World Health Organization, and several independent studies, as it draws from hospital records, family reports, and verified identifications, though it may undercut the indirect deaths from disease and starvation and those buried under the rubble. So I think you could probably double that figure when you think about how many Palestinians are buried in the rubble from the buildings that they've taken down. Let's keep going here. This is once again another source. In the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, OCHA, reports 995 Palestinians' deaths as of September 15, 2025, including 212 children. These incidents stem primarily from Israeli military operations, settler violence, and clashing. Combining these, the total number of Palestinian deaths across Gaza and the West Bank exceeds 67,000. Figures can fluctuate slightly with daily updates and some analysis from the Lancet, okay? So I'm not sure we can trust these numbers, but estimate of the true toll could be 40% higher, with a counting of unreported indirect fatalities potentially reaching over 90,000 by mid-2025. Now, I wanted to tell you, because people have been talking about the West Bank. Israel's already settled the West Bank. Remember, Trump came out and he goes, we're not going to allow Israel to take over the West Bank. Israel's already taken over the West Bank. I don't know what Trump's talking about. So, they've already chased them out. They've got the Palestinians in concentration camps, the ones they haven't killed. I can't imagine that. Imagine somebody coming to your door going, it's my house now. and they just kick the Palestinians right out. So let's get a little bit more, and then we're gonna cut off for just a second. So region, deaths as of last report, date of report, source. So Gaza, 66,005, September 28, 2025. The Gaza Health Ministry. West Bank, 995, September 15, 2025. OCHA, we already did that, total 67,000. Okay, we got the dog ready to go. Let me take a break. Well, listen, we'll get one more little thing here. The numbers reflect a humanitarian crisis with ongoing challenges in verification due to destroyed infrastructure for the current data. Refer to sources like the UN and the Gaza Ministry updates. So we'll keep going here. So breakdown of civilian versus combat deaths since October 7th, 2023. Reliable breakdowns distinguishing civilians from combatants are challenging due to varying definitions, verification issues, and source bias. The Gaza Health Ministry reports the deaths without distinction, while the Israeli Defense Forces provide combat estimates, independent analysis, including UN reports and academic studies. Often use women and children, who comprise about 50% of the deaths per the GHM, as proxies for civilians. Below is a summary based on the latest available data as of late September 2025. And then it basically gives you the same numbers in the civilian versus combat breakdown. Based on the classification, IDF intelligence data as of May 2025, with totals were 53,000, 83% were civilians, 44,100, and 17% combatants. 8,900 primarily Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad fighters. Applying this ratio to the current total yields 54,784 civilians and 11,221 combatants. This is considered the most authoritative IDF tally, though the officials have publicly claimed higher combat figures up to 20,000 without evidence. Whew, a lot here. Alternative estimates. Scholars and NGOs, Actions on Armed Violence, August 2024, suggest 74 to 90% civilians, with UN verified data showing 70% women and children among residential building deaths. Alternative estimates, scholars, notes the IDF database may undercount combatants, uncovered bodies, or new recruits, while the GHM undercounts indirect deaths under rubble. The high civilian toll is attributed to urban warfare in dense areas. The West Bank, East Jerusalem, total Palestinian deaths 905 as of September 15th, per OCHA and UNRWA. Total Palestinians death 995. Civilian versus combat breakdown majority 90 to 95% civilians with no comprehensive official split. At least 212 children killed, 21%, indicating significant civilian impact from raids, settler violence, and clashes. UN reports classify most civilians, even in operations targeting militants, unless explicitly combats. Estimated 896 to 945 civilians, 50 to 99 combatants, based on IDF claims of targeted killings during raids. Notes, fatalities occur mainly in military operations, 80% in the northern bank, and 2025 in settler attacks. And all the numbers, it just keeps going. They're basically all the same. And then we got, so this is from Health Ranger. I was telling you about this. So now 3 countries have naval ships joining the flotilla. This means that if Israeli attacks these ships, Israel will be attacking the navies of NATO members, echoes of the USS Liberty. If you didn't recall, the USS Liberty, they killed over 60 sailors on that ship back in the 60s under the Johnson administration, and it was all covered up at that time. So a lot of people were upset about the cover-up, but as these people retired from the military, they've come out and told the whole story. All right, we'll get on with the video here in just a minute. I got to take a break. All right, let's continue with the video here, because one of the things that people have been asking me, they say, well, we haven't seen anything on any video. Well, that's because Israel's killed all the reporters. I mean, it's unbelievable, and I've got all the numbers here for you. But before we get into that, let's read something by Adam Media. This is off of X. Breaking, NYPD is mass arresting protesters outside of Netanyahu's hotel. This was, but when he was in New York before he met with Trump. Accusing them of unreasonable noise. Netanyahu murdered over 680,000 Palestinians. He should be arrested. Cars passing by are honking for Palestine and not letting Netanyahu sleep. And we got a video on that.
America, it's the United States of Israel. The same shit that's happening in Israel right now, Israel, the same shit that happening in Israel.
I need him to identify himself as a public servant.
In their case.
What's your badge number?
They're going to be held. What's the children?
All right. And if I find it, I'll go ahead and put it right here. I had a video from Al Jazeera. I guess they still got reporters in Gaza. I don't know how. With so many of the reporters that have been killed, I wouldn't go in there. I'm telling you right now, maybe I'm just a coward.
In the light of the unprecedented Israel's escalation of attacks targeting different sites and locations, the situation is going from bad to worse. We can clearly see here civil defense forces rushed to this place after the Israeli fighter jets targeted this residential building, which was once packed with people. People are still trapped under the rubble. As you can clearly see, a woman being rescued by civil defense forces, and they are struggling to rescue the remaining trapped Palestinians who are still under the rubble.
We don't know what to do. We're not able to rescue the people. It's not clear to us who has died and who's still under the rubble. The attack happened suddenly without any prior warning. The Israelis should have told us to leave the area. My uncle is 80 years old, and the Israelis killed his son during the war, and his grandchildren are young. We could have saved them had the Israelis informed us in advance to leave this area. They are just mere civilians who just want to live.
The families were sitting in the building, and all of a sudden the missiles attacked them. We lost our children, and we lost everything. The Israelis have destroyed us. Where is it that they want us to go? There is no safe area. I can't even feed my children. I have no money to buy food for my family.
The situation is apocalyptic here near Shiva Hospital, west of Gaza City. Civil defense teams are using manually operated tools and basic equipment to just rescue the trapped Palestinians from under the rubble of this destroyed residential building behind me, west of Gaza City. Ibrahim Khalili, Al Jazeera, Gaza City, Palestine.
But let's get to some of the reporters' numbers. As of late September 2025, the number of journalists and media workers killed in Gaza since the onset of the Israel-Hamas war on October 7th, 2023 varies across organizations due to differences in the verification process definitions. Confirmed versus reported deaths, journalists versus broader media workers. In ongoing investigations, Gaza has become the deadliest conflict for journalists in modern history, surpassing previous records set in World War II. Here's a comparison of the most recent figures from leading press freedom and UN sources. Organization number killed in Gaza. Date of the report, September 15, 2025, includes all reported Palestinian journalists and media workers, expected to rise with the additional verification. 252 killed. 252 journalists have been killed by Israel in Gaza, and probably also in the West Bank. The International Federation of Journalists says it's 222 verified Palestinian journalists and media workers, part of a broader total of 245 killed across the region, including Lebanon and Yemen. Evidence suggests deliberate targeting by Israeli forces in many cases. So the Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, has the number at 201 as of September 16, 2025. Confirmed journalists and media workers, describes Israel actions as the deadliest and most deliberate effort to kill and silence journalists ever, documented by the CPJ. An earlier snapshot cited 195 Palestinians in Gaza. Reporters Without Borders, they're saying approximately 200. As of September 2025, close to 200 reporters killed in the first 18 months, with at least 42 slain while on the job. Palestine ranked as the world's most dangerous country for journalists in 2024. These figures focus on Palestinian journalists and media workers killed by Israeli forces or in related strikes. Independent international journalists have faced restrictions on access to Gaza, limiting on-the-ground reporting. For the absolute latest updates, check the organization's website directly as the toll number continues to climb and the conflict. And then profiles of journalists killed in Glassbellow is a section of profiles for 10 journalists killed in Gaza since October 7, 2023, drawn from verified reports by Press Freedom Fund for organizations. These highlight the diversity of the media workers affected, including freelancers, cameramen, and correspondents. The profiles include name and affiliation. So we'll get to that in just a minute. All right, let's continue with the video. Rather than continue reading, because this is going to be a boring part, because a person left a comment and said, give me the names of the reporters. You bet you can't name one of them. So I asked Grok, I said, give me the names of the last 10 reporters. But before we get on that, let's talk about the coming war with Iran. So most of the bombs going over are drop bombs, but Trump is also sending, well, we've got 2 refueling tankers on the way to the Middle East. And I believe a lot of our planes have been moved over, maybe to Qatar and some of the bases in the area. So we got our air support there to bomb Iran. And then what Trump also sent was the Tomahawk cruise missiles, and we'll see where that goes.
Finally, Professor, these Arab leaders and Muslim leaders, Pakistan, Indonesia, Turkey, they were either fooled by Donald Trump in New York, or they were even more complicit in this catastrophe than we thought they were. Which is it?
I don't know about Indonesia and Pakistan because they're far off from the center of conflict and they may not be so closely involved. And I'm pretty sure that they're getting their information and their cues from regional leaders. But in the case of the Erdogan and Qatar and Egypt and Sisi and these regional countries, what they did was unacceptable. And they're closely involved with what's going on in Gaza. They know exactly what's happening. This is our neighborhood. They have no excuse to pretend that they were fooled. And even if they were, then they should have issued a second statement condemning Trump and condemning this process. But we have yet to see that. Just as we've yet to see them do anything. Mr. Erdogan sent a couple of drones to fly over the flotilla, but we know that those drones are not going to do anything to the Israeli regime. This is all for show. But what are the good things about all this, if you can call it that, because this is a Holocaust? In this darkness, everyone has been exposed. All those who were lying across the world about human rights, about human values. Zionism has been exposed, and those who pretend to support the Palestinian but do nothing, they've been exposed. And the true supporters of the Palestinian people have also been made clear to all of us, whether they're the protesters in Italy or in Australia, or those who are fighting in Lebanon or supporting them in Yemen, wherever they are in the world, they are the shining stars of humanity. And those who pretend to be humane and to be supporting human values but sit silently and continue to do business as usual, they have nothing. They are empty shells.
All right, before I get into reading some of the names here, I wanted to talk about two other things. Marjorie Taylor Greene put up a post, and I'm all for this. She said if an influencer like Laura Loomer or Mark Levin is being paid by an organization to say certain things, because they're really the top Zionist on radio is Mark Levin, and the top Zionist on X is Laura Loomer. At least she's in my feed sometimes. But yeah, they should have to tell you that they've been paid. I don't make any money. I'm not paid by anybody, so I can tell you whatever they can't tell you.
Congresswoman, you last came on this program and you said that AIPAC should register as a foreign agent. We now have reporting that AIPAC is considering targeting you in an upcoming election. Now, they were successful in recent challenges against Democrats. AIPAC took out Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush, and admittedly, those are folks that had a lot going on. What do you think will be different about a challenge against you if AIPAC takes you on?
Well, I think we're in a whole different time, Matt, and I think Americans have very much become aware that Israel is a foreign government that has been meddling not only in campaigns and elections, but also meddling in government policy, government of the United States policy, as well as dictating what America does in foreign wars. And that has become a major problem for many Americans, especially young Americans, but not just young Americans. People in my generation, I'm Generation X, and even older Americans are becoming aware of this. So if AIPAC wants to take a shot at me in Northwest Georgia, then you know what? Giddy up. Go ahead. I'm America first. I will not apologize for that. And AIPAC is Israel first. And I don't think my district will tolerate it.
So we'll get into that. And the other thing that McGregor was talking about, he said, because this is Netanyahu's last chance to blow up Iran. So all those bombs that Trump has sent over to the Middle East, we'll be bombing Iran here soon. So I'm confident that Trump will get his war. So we're looking at that here pretty soon. And the other thing was those cruise missiles are the old cruise missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles. They don't even go hypersonic. So they're pretty slow. So the Iranian defenses, they've only got about 60% of their defenses online right now. So if Israel's going to strike, or the United States is going to strike Israel, and Israel are going to strike Iran, now is the time they got to do it, because only 60% of the air defenses in Iran are online, although the Russians are in there. They flew in a couple of cargo planes here recently, and China has been flying in cargo planes. We don't know what's on those planes. A lot of people speculate that it's air defenses. So even with 60%, I don't know that we're not going to lose some planes, especially if they're not standoff weapons. Because if they fly into Iranian airspace, there's a good chance that some of those F-35s could get shot down. So we'll have to see how the Trump's war goes. So let's get a couple of names of the journalists that have been killed in Gaza, and I'll give you their affiliation, because it's a crazy. Some of these I don't even know, and these are mostly Arabs. So you know, all the Zionists that hate Arabs, especially the Christian nationalists or the Christian Zionists, they don't really care about these people. So that's good. That's good. I didn't see one name that I'm looking at right now, but let's read off a couple of these. You got Rasmi Jibad Salem, and I can't, for whatever reason, he's Al Mantra Media. I've never heard of that. He was a photojournalist. You got Islam, I can't see, Abed, and he's Al Quds Al Yom Channel. You got Miriam Abu Daga, Associated Press and Independent Arab, freelance. Hassam Al Masri, he was a Reuters cameraman. You got Anas Al Sharif, Al Jazeera reporter. Mohammed Quraik, like I said, these will all be on the thing. Al Jazeera correspondent. Ibram Zahar, Al Jazeera cameraman. Let's keep going. I just want to get the names out of the way, because you know, all these people leaving comments. What are their names? What are their names? I don't care what the names are. I just wanted the numbers. But if this makes it more real for you, then I'll just read the names. So this is Mohammed Nufal, Al Jazeera cameraman, and Samar Abu Daga, Al Jazeera cameraman. Now, most of those were in 2025. The last one was in 2023. So the ongoing Israeli-Hamas war began October 7th, by the way, which is coming up. A lot of people are speculating that's when Trump and Netanyahu are going to bomb Iran and, of course, kill the rest of the Palestinians. Because, you know, while they're at war with Iran, that's a great time to exterminate the Palestinians, because people won't even be paying attention to what's going on in Gaza. That's what Colonel McGregor pointed out. So that's why we expect because of course, Trump has said, get it over with. So transforming the deadliest conflict for media workers in modern history, with over 200 Palestinian journalists. This is just quoting the same thing. Below, I outline the key impacts based on reports from press, freedom organizations, UN experts, journalists on the ground. So, human toll. A generation of journalists lost. The war has claimed the lives of at least, we've given the numbers, 248 journalists and media workers in Gaza, with figures varying by source due to verification challenges. Recent escalations include the August 2025 strike, and we talked about this in a previous video, outside the Al Sharifa hospital, killing 6 journalists, including the Al Jazeera staff, with a double tap attack on Nasser Airport that claimed 5 more. These incidents often involve family members, amplifying the personal devastation. So I'm going to wait till we get to a spot where I can stop. It's too hard to push this basket, read, and get a selfie all at the same time. But it might get dark on us, so I might have to finish the video at home in my chair, in my video chair. That's what I call it. All right, let's get on the video on the way back. All right, we're gonna wrap up the video right here. I noticed I've got 2 more pages of notes. This video is way too long as it is. So we'll cover that in a future video, because one of the other things that I wanted to show in those notes is all the reporters that have been blocked from being able to go into Gaza by the Israelis. Not a comprehensive list, but it's a few reporters that you might know. Like I said, the reporters that were killed were just Arab reporters, as the Zionist would tell you. I guess the other reporters with more familiar names, they just blocked them from going in. So let's finish the reading. Oh, I wanted to comment on the shutdown real quick. So you know that Maxine Waters came out, and I love it when the Democrats say the part out loud. She goes, "We want health care for all people." Well, that obviously includes illegal aliens, and that's what the Republicans are saying, is that the Democrats want health care for illegal aliens, which is true. They've got health care, from what I understand, up until November or somewhere around in there. Now, one of the things about blocking illegal aliens from health care is what you're going to do is you're going to drive them into the hospitals. A lot of hospitals have to take people and give them a treatment. So, you know, the illegal aliens will no longer be able to go to like an urgent care, which is a lot cheaper than an emergency room. So it's bad and good. I don't want illegal aliens having health care. I don't want the illegal aliens here if we can just ship them all away. Also, they've arrested 50 people in Memphis. They're doing the crackdown there. So let's finish up the reading here. So targeted killings and patterns. UN experts describe a deliberate pattern of Israel denying international access while systematically eliminating local reporters, labeling it as a potential war crime aimed at erasing Palestinian narratives. Examples include Al Jazeera's Anas al-Sharif, accused without evidence of Hamas ties shortly before his death. Survivors like Hani Mohammed report that press vests now mark journalists as targets, instilling constant fear. Will I make it back alive? So if you're wearing a press vest, they don't. Some of the reporters now don't wear a press vest anymore because it makes them targets, because Israel's going to kill them. So injuries, detentions, and trauma. Beyond deaths, dozens have been injured, detained, or tortured. Journalists, God, I can't see it, and I got something on my neck. All right, hold on. Ado Habad fled Gaza due to malnutrition and targeting fears. The mental health toll is profound, with reporters like Sally Trebet grappling with the choice between duty and family safety, leading to widespread psychological trauma. So we're going to stop right there. It's getting too dark. I can't even read my notes. I need to make the print bigger on these. All right, if you think of something else on the way back, might add to the video. If not, peace out. Stay free.
Breaking news, gentlemen. The flotilla boat on which Tiago Avila, the Brazilian activist, I think it's called the Madeleine, has been boarded by the Israeli forces. It has been intercepted, and presumably the others are destined so to be, with nobody to protect them, least of all their own governments, certainly not the governments that sent their gunboats out. It looks like a very, very difficult situation. I was involved in the Turkish boat, the Mavi Marmara, when 10 of the people on board were murdered by Israeli forces. My own parliamentary assistant, Kevin Ovenden, was taken to a dungeon in Ashkelon. And we'll be lucky if we get out of tonight with nobody dead, Professor. Your reaction to this news?
Well, George, we know that the Israeli regime, they're deeply concerned about baby formula. They're really worried that the infants in Gaza will have baby formula to drink and to use and to be fed upon with. Their contempt for the Palestinian people, their contempt for the infants of Palestine, for the children of Palestine, is known to all of us. They've been trying to starve the people of Palestine for 2 years. And those courageous men and women in this flotilla, they are not going to most probably have any success in getting that infant formula to the children of Gaza, but they are helping create greater awareness. about what is happening in Gaza. The Americans and the Zionists can take TikTok and they can take CBS and they can take all the media outlets in the world, but everyone has woken up. It's too late. They should have done this 2 years ago. Everyone knows what they're doing to the children, the starvation, the airstrikes every single day. Tens of people at least are killed every single day. Children are maimed for life, traumatized for life. This is the reality of Gaza, and this is what the West supports. This is what NATO supports. This is what these regional regimes that signed that disgusting letter support, because they've done nothing to block. When these countries did not break off ties with the Israeli regime, when they refused to stop sending oil or purchasing natural gas or sending goods, then how can we expect African countries and Latin American countries and Asian countries further away to break off ties with this satanic regime? But what these heroes in the flotilla have done is that they've woken up more people, and they've angered those who've already been woken up before due to the excellent work of people like yourselves. And the reason why you are harassed and why they take you and your wife is because the two of you are busy waking up humanity about the crimes that are being committed. Hopefully, at the end of the day, all of these, the children of Gaza, they will survive and they will grow up in their own country, and their country will be freed. And Jews, Christians, Muslims around the world who stood up for the rights of the Palestinian people, like these men and women in the flotilla, they will be able to say to their children and their grandchildren that we took part in protests, that we were active to help the people of Palestine. And I'm sure that there is light at the end of this dark tunnel.
Amen.
First of all, this term that was used immediately after October 7th and has been recycled over and over, that this is the biggest killing of Jews since the Holocaust. It may be true, it may not, that's not, but it's used for a particular purpose. It's used to evoke the Holocaust, both in the Israeli public and in the international community, not least among Jewish populations in other countries. That is, that Israel is threatened again with another Auschwitz, and therefore it has to do everything that it takes to thwart that threat. And in doing so, it cannot abide by any international rules or regulations. It doesn't have to listen to anyone. The Gentiles stood by when the Jews were killed in the Holocaust, and therefore we can do whatever we believe we need to do. So that's the first sort of what this term evokes. As for the killing of, first of all, this term